Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vishnu Pad Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jai Rupanuga Guru Bhargya ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda ki jai. Samadaita Vaishnava Mandali ki jai. Kol Kartel ki jai. Sri Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So welcome everybody to our Sunday afternoon talk at the East London Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. We are broadcasting live there today, and we are continuing our discussion on Srila Sridhar Maharaj's first published, or first major published book in the English language, Search for Sri Krishna, Reality, the Beautiful. And this is a series of talks to refamiliarize ourselves with the teachings of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, the founder Acharya of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, and our beloved spiritual master, the divine master of our Gurudev Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. So, yes. So last week I think we finished on the chapter Beyond Christianity, and this week, the next chapter is called Levels of God Realization. Any special observance today, Takeshwar?
No, until tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
Most of Maharaj disappearance day.
It was yesterday, right? Or Friday?
No, that's tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Makara Sankranti. Yeah, that is the day that Mahaprabhu took sannyas in Katha. And in our Math, it's very significant in Navadvip Chaitanya Saraswat Math. During the days from when he left his home as Nimai Pandit, right up until the day after taking sannyas, which was yesterday, from Keshav Bharati, and then up until he reaches the house of Advaita Acharya in the next few days, Guru Maharaj would be in a state of mourning during that time. He didn't speak much, didn't come out much, stayed in his room, and very much, like lamenting that the sannyas of Nimai Pandit, and during those days, the prasadam at the temple was very simple, just vegetable dalma, like just dal with some vegetables in the dal and rice, and that was it. And just once in the day, the devotees would take prasadam once in the day. And that was Guru Maharaj's observance. And we can say that even from our, fallen perspective, we could see that Guru Maharaj wasn't just observing something that was on our Vaishnava calendar, but it was actually, in reality, part of that Leela. He was experiencing that and feeling the great sorrow and lamentation of all the devotees as Nimai Pandit left his family life and went to take sannyas. It was very heartbreaking thing. There were so many things, cutting off his hair. They bought the barber to come and do that. The barber doesn't want to do it. He's crying, like coming back. No, I cannot do such beautiful hair. How is it possible? Such a beautiful young man. How is it possible to do that?
Because he was only 24.
24, yeah. Then one lady and the crowd are getting very angry with Keshav Bharati at his ashram. if you give this boy sannyas, we'll smash your ashram, they're saying, you know. And all through Nimai Pandit, he's, you know, chanting and feeling ecstasy. And even when he's like half shaven, he jumps up and starts dancing and chanting, and everyone joining with him. That man who cut Nimai Pandit's hair after doing that, he gave up the profession as a barber. After that, he couldn't cut another person's hair, and it said he took up the profession of a sweet maker. And because he touched the body, the hair, the divine hair of Sri Chaitanya Dev, his sweets were super sweet. They're like renowned as being the sweetest that you could buy. But anyhow, other devotees saw that when Keshav Bharati Maharaj gave him the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and I think it was the uncle of Chandrasekhar Acharya, he was witness there, and when he saw that, all he could say was Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and became like half mad when he returned to Navadvip, and the devotees are saying, "Oh, you were there at the sannyas of Nimai Pandit. Can you tell us what happened?" And he just say, "Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna." He couldn't say anything else. And one woman in the crowd, while it was going on, she shouted, "Who made this sannyas ashram? What evil person made this sannyas ashram? A horrible thing that this boy has to leave everyone that's near and dear to him and go to take this shaving off his hair and leaving everything that he'd accomplished in his life and having to go from door to door now as a beggar. What is this? Who invented this? What mad person invented this?" And so many things we know. Nityananda Prabhu broke Mahaprabhu's danda because his ekadanda, that is, Keshav Bharati Maharaj was in the sampradaya of Shankara. And it's told either he was a devotee in the disguise of an Advaitan, or by coming in contact with Chaitanya Dev, he became converted to a Vaishnava. In fact, when he went to give the sannyas mantra to Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu told him, "In a dream last night, a goddess appeared to me and told me this mantra. Is this the mantra you'll give me?" And he told Keshav Bharati in his ear this sannyas mantra. And Keshav Bharati Maharaj said, "Yes, this is the mantra I will give you." So some say in this way Mahaprabhu first initiated him, and then he initiated Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev. Anyway, and then he leaves, and later he returns to Navadvip to see everyone. That's also heartbreaking, very heartbreaking. All the Mother Sachi and Vishnu Priya, his wife, they come to see him. And all the crowd, like hundreds, thousands of people have come to see Chaitanya Dev now as the sannyasi. And as he's walking through the street, then in a very heartbreaking way, his Vishnu Priya says to Sachi Devi, "There's your son." She doesn't say, "There's my husband," or "There's Nimai." She says to Sachi Devi, "There's your son." And Sachi Devi looks on, and as Mahaprabhu walks past them, without glancing in their direction, he stepped out of his paduka, his sandals, and left them there and walked on. And Vishnu Priya took their sandals, worshipped them for the rest of her life. And those sandals, they're still at that Mahaprabhu Bari, Vishnu Priya Bari, that temple in Navadvip. If you give the priest a few rupees, he will put those paduka on your head. Anyhow, it is all very heartbreaking for those who have some heart. For those of us who are hard-hearted, it is just something we read about. But for those who have heart, like Guru Maharaj, he was very heartbroken and every year are very much heartbroken in the observance of this. So,
Only 2 people knew that he was going to take sannyas. Chandrasekhar and
yes.
It was more than 2. It was more than 2, actually it was 4.
Anyway, a few only. But so these days, few days, and then he, after taking sannyas, he's mad. So then Nityananda Prabhu taking his danda and breaking it in 3 places and throwing it in the river. And then Mahaprabhu said, "Oh, I just renounced the world, and all I have is this danda, and you broke it and threw it into the river. And I'm very angry with you," he told Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu said, "You do not need any danda, and you are not fooling us. We know who you are. We know who you are." And Mahaprabhu was not having that. "I'm going alone," he said, and he left them and went ahead. The devotees followed at a distance, and they made arrangement that they're telling him, "Yes, this is the Jamuna. You're going along the banks of the Jamuna." He's mad, thinking he's going to Vrindavan, but actually he's still in Bengal, so he's nowhere near Vrindavan. But and he's going along the banks of the Ganga, and they're telling, "Yes, Mahaprabhu, this is Jamuna." And they told some cowherd boys, "Oh, you are when Chaitanya Dev comes."
5 minutes, he said.
When Chaitanya Dev comes and asks if this is the Jamuna, you tell, "Yes, this is the Jamuna." Anyway, then they eventually, when they came to Shantipur, there Advaita Prabhu was waiting with a boat. And when he arrived, then Mahaprabhu becomes very confused. "Oh, Advaita Prabhu, how did you know I was in Vrindavan? Why are you here?" And Advaita Prabhu said, "Oh, this is not Vrindavan. You are in Shantipur. And come on the boat and we can go to my house." And so Advaita Prabhu took him to his house, and there he fed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu and all the Vaishnavas. And it was a very wonderful thing. And this is like now Mahaprabhu has again joined with the Vaishnavas, some relief in everybody's heart. And Guru Maharaj also like that. This is Mahaprabhu's Leela, full of very high spiritual emotional things. It is a very wonderful thing. Anyway, so this chapter, A Search for Sri Krishna, Reality of the Beautiful, that is called Levels of God Realization. The gradation of this is Srila Sridhar Maharaj speaking. The gradation of transcendental realization has been explained by Srila Sanatana Goswami in his book Brihad Bhagavatamrita. There we find that in the course of the realization of Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service, the great sage Narad Muni is visiting different places. First, he encounters Karma Mishra Bhakti, or devotional service mixed with fruitive activities. Once there was a Brahmin in Allahabad, and he was a wealthy man, and on the occasion of the Kumbh Mela, when millions of sages and devotees gather for a religious festival, he arranged for the services to the different types of saintly persons who were present there. He conducted a sacrifice and finally finished the function with the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. The Brahmin was mainly engaged in karma kanda, or fruitive work. But he was also rendering service to the saintly persons. So ultimately he ended everything with Nama Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Narad Muni approached this Brahmin saying, "You are very fortunate that you are doing these things. This is the proper utilization of your money and caste. By engaging in such holy activities, you are certainly most fortunate. The Brahmin told him, "What am I doing? This is nothing. You should go to see the fortune of King Indrajumna. He is distributing the prasadam remnants of Lord Jagannath in a grand style. How grandiose is the worship of Narayan there. Go there and you will appreciate his devotional service." So Narad Muni went to see Indrajumna Maharaj. And there he also found the king extensively engaging all his resources in the worship of Lord Jagannath. Narad approached him saying, "You are so fortunate in this world." And the king told him, "What can I do, Narad? This is nothing. If you want to see how devotional service should be practiced, you should go to see Lord Indra, the king of heaven." So Narad Muni went to Indradev and praised him by saying, "O Indra, you are very fortunate. Vaman Dev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared as your younger brother. And here in Indraloka, there are always religious festivals worshipping Krishna." Indra said, "Oh, what do you say? What love have I for Krishna? Everything belongs to him, but in my foolishness, I tried to prevent him from taking the Parijata tree from heaven. Not only that, but I am always being attacked by demons, and my wife is also sometimes disturbed. What fortune do you find in me?" From Indra, Narad went to Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. There he found the personified Vedas singing praise to Lord Brahma. Narad, who was also his son and disciple, approached Lord Brahma saying, "How greatly fortunate you are. You are entrusted by Lord Narayan himself with the management of the whole universe, and sometimes you visit him for guidance in the administration of the universe. We also find that some portions of the Vedas are engaged in singing your glories. You are so fortunate." But Lord Brahma felt a little disturbed, and he said, "What are you saying, Narad? You are praising me and increasing my false pride. But did I not tell you that I am nothing but a small creature in the hand of Narayan? I am engaged in external activity. I have no time to give in the interest of my devotional life. My Lord has rather deceived me, engaging me in such a busy matter as managing the universe. I am most unfortunate. Rather, you should go to Mahadev, Lord Shiva. He doesn't care for anything in this world. He is aloof and indifferent, and has his aim towards Lord Narayan. He is devoted to Lord Ramchandra, and he is very fond of the holy name of Lord Ram. His wife, Parvati Devi, is also helping him in his devotional life, and she is very happy." So Narad went to Shiva Loka and began to chant in praise of Lord Shiva. "You are the master of the world. The Vedas sing your glories. You hold the highest position." In this way, Narad began to glorify him, but Lord Shiva became very excited and a little angry at this. "What are you saying, Narad? I have so much indifference towards this world that I am mainly interested in knowledge and penance. This holds the better portion of my interest. Whatever little inclination I have for devotional service to Narayan is very negligible. Sometimes I have such an apathetic spirit towards Narayan that I even fight with him in favor of one of my disciples. I am disgusted with my position. Penance, power, mystic yoga, perfection, and indifference to the world, that's my business. This is Jnana Mishra Bhakti, or devotional service mixed with empiric speculative knowledge. Lord Brahma is the ideal of Karma Mishra Bhakti, or devotional service mixed with fruitive activity, and Lord Shiva is the ideal of Jnana Mishra Bhakti. He still maintains some affinity for an independent position, and not for 100% acceptance of service to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Lord Shiva said, "If you really want to experience Shuddha Bhakti, go to Prahlad Maharaj. There you will find pure devotional service." In this way, we have been directed to trace the development of Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service, beginning with Prahlad Maharaj. Because Prahlad does not want anything in exchange for his devotional service. And Guru Maharaj told us, when we are telling the Jayadwani after the Arti, we are always telling the Jai of Nrsimha Bhagwan and Prahlad Maharaj. And the reason is because in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Prahlad, Leela of Prahlad, the teachings of Prahlad, that is the first expression of Shuddha Bhakti in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We find in the life and teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. So we're always giving his Jai in our Jayadwani. This was Guru Maharaj's thinking. So, in this way, we have been directed to trace the development of Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service, beginning with Prahlad Maharaj. Because Prahlad does not want anything in exchange for his devotional service. In Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Nandata te kila guru, gate ta karunatmanaha, yasta ashisha ashaste, nasa britya savaivanik. Whoever is doing something for the satisfaction of Narayan, but wants something in return, he is not a servant, but a merchant. He wants to give something to the Lord, and then take some price in exchange for that. So Prahlad Maharaj is a pure devotee, and only through a pure devotee of Narayan can one attain pure devotion. So this is also important to understand. This is not by any penance that we do, or any sadhana that we do, or any anything that will give us pure devotion. Even following the principles and practices of Krishna consciousness will not give us pure devotion unless we have the favor of Krishna's pure devotee. That's the key to attaining pure devotion. In another place, Yudhisthira says that that Krishna is not found in the Vedas, and Krishna is not found in the temple, but Krishna is found in the heart of his pure devotee. This is especially significant for the sadhaka to understand this, that it is only possible to attain pure devotion to Krishna through Krishna's pure devotee, by the grace of Krishna's pure devotee. So all these peculiar achievements in the devotional world begin with Prahlad Maharaj. The nature of his devotional service is that of Shantarasa, neutrality, where there is no actual service but only perfect adherence to Narayan under all circumstances. Whatever may be the unfavorable condition in the environment, he stands true to the faith that Narayan is all in all and that he is our master. Prahlad Maharaj and the four Kumaras, the son of Lord Brahma, are in the position of Shanta Rasa Bhakti, or neutral love of God. So this is the basis of Shuddha Bhakti, or pure devotion, is in the full adherence to the Lord under any circumstance. One godbrother was telling me the other day about his relative, that her mother was very ill, and so she prayed to the Lord, please save my mother. And not only that, she engaged a priest to do some kind of yajna and everything to save her mother, but still her mother died. Then she said, "Oh, I don't believe in Krishna then. After everything I did, he let my mother die. Then I don't believe in Krishna." So this is means someone of small faith. Only if I can see something, I believe. Otherwise, I don't believe. And if Krishna does something that is not favorable in my eye, then I deny him, don't believe him. This is not real devotion. And what will we say? Even if mother is saved, later she'll die, because everyone must die, isn't it? No one is free from that. No one gets out alive, so to say, in this world. Everyone will die, today or tomorrow, by coronavirus, or by being knocked over by a bus, or peacefully in one's sleep. But everyone is going to die. So we should not think that unless Krishna will do our bidding for us, then no, we don't believe in him. This is not devotion. Pure devotion means, well, Mahaprabhu gives that in his Shikastakam. What is the standard of pure devotion? He says, Lord, whether you handle me roughly by your embrace, or whether you make me broken-hearted by never appearing before me, or whether you're completely indifferent to me, still, you are my Lord birth after birth, without any reservation. I cannot put any condition upon that. And we know one of our friends, or actually friend of Srila Gurudev, Mr. Sanyal, he was a businessman in Calcutta, and his business partner absconded with the money of the business. You know, like all the employees' pension, everything. He took everything, he took all the money, and disappeared. So because that money was the property of the business, and Mr. Sanyal was, jointly responsible, he was arrested and charged with that. Although he was innocent of anything, they couldn't find his business partner, so because he's responsible, he was arrested. And for a long time, he was under house arrest. And because of that, he lost all his wealth, everything. His wife left him, his children disowned him, everything. He's just alone, living there. And while he's under house arrest, they're giving 2 police officers have to be with him all the time. And if he goes anywhere, he has to pay the police officers to accompany him. He can't go anywhere unless they're with him, but they won't go with him unless he pays them to go with him. So anyway, this was his situation. But every day he's coming to the temple and doing service at the temple. And then one day one of the police guards said to him, "Why are you going to the temple every day and serving Krishna? He hasn't done anything for you, has he? Look what's happened to you. Everything has gone wrong in your life. You lost everything. Your family rejected you. You're under arrest for something you didn't do. The police know that, right? But it's still. Then why would you worship Krishna when he's put you in such a situation?" And Mr. Sanyal's reply was, "Oh, I don't worship Krishna because I expect him to put everything right for me or do everything for me. I worship Krishna and serve Krishna because I love Krishna, because I have love for Krishna. That's all. And whatever he does, that's his business. I'm not expecting him to make my court case come right or anything. He can do as he likes. But I worship Krishna, serve Krishna because I have love for Krishna." Now this is maybe not Shuddha Bhakti, but some higher ideal of Krishna consciousness. That whatever will happen to me, he is not to blame. In fact, this is the main teaching of Bhagavad Gita. That that you cannot change your environment, you can only change yourself. This is Bhagavad Gita teaches us this. So we are not master of this world. That is going on independent of us. And that means the environment is not within our control. Maybe some few things are in our control, but more or less nothing. Well, Einstein, he gave a definition. Thank you, Prabhu. He gave a definition of environment. What he said is the environment. The environment means everything that isn't you. That's your environment. So, then what will you do? You cannot change that. But you have some power over your own self. And you can change perspective. So it's not about what happens to us in our life. That's happening whether we like it or not, due to the fruit of our past deeds, good or bad. That's coming to us. But who can see the hand of the Lord behind that and adjust his consciousness with that? That is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. Try to see with equal vision happiness, distress, success, failure, all of these things. They're all imposters. Only you are soul, you are Atma. Then you are not touched by these things. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, Taktenu Kampam Shushamikṣamanu, this verse, famous verse in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, tells us that whatever comes in front of us, it is the fulfillment of our own karma. Your karma has come to face you. So whatever Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, as you are now, there's nothing you can do to stop your karma. It's already coming. Good or bad or whatever it may be, it's coming. That's called karma phal. That means what you have done now is fructified and result will come. And so there's nothing you can do to prevent that from happening. And also, there's nothing you can do to make it happen. So what you do in this world now will not change significantly what's destined for you in this life due to your past actions. So Saraswati Thakur, he says, so then don't waste your time trying to do that. That's what we do all the time, right? We're all engaged basically in karma. You know, we talk about karma, oh, bad karma, man, everything, people say. But karma doesn't just mean that. Karma means action, actually. So everything is karma in this material world. Whatever you do, as Newton says, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Now, nothing you can do in this world that doesn't have a reaction to it, good or bad. So, then what will we do? So then a more sober class of people, they think, oh, all of this activity in this world is just reactionary and filthy and binds us to the material world. So why should we do any of that? Then let's, find a cave to live in the Himalayas or something and just retire from that. Don't engage in karma anymore and cultivate knowledge or something. That is the path of mukti, we can say, mukti. So two paths, basically, in this material world. Bhukti and mukti. Bhukti means the path of exploitation, action and reaction. And for the majority, we're all engaged in that. And bhukti, that's bhukti, and mukti means the path of cultivation of transcendental knowledge, which will lead us to emancipation from this material world. And that's by disengaging from the things of this material world. But that is also both are manias, you can say. They're both unnatural. We may think that that mukti, the path of mukti, the path of renunciation, is higher and have some admiration for people who are able to do that, to withdraw themselves from the things of this material world. But both are unnatural for the soul. Bhukti mukti spriha. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, Bhukti mukti pisachya. In one song, he said. Pisachya means witch or ghost or something like bad spirit, a pisachya. So he says in his song that as long as the witches of bhukti, means sense enjoyment, exploitation, or mukti, the desire for emancipation from this world, live in the heart, then bhakti will not live there. So that is the you can say the middle path is bhakti. Bhakti means dedicating everything for the service of Krishna. Not not thinking that everything is meant for me, and not thinking that I should reject everything. But what comes to me, I should try to utilize that in the service of my Lord. Then that type of activity has no material reaction. That type of activity actually liberates us from both bhukti and mukti. Guru Maharaj describes them as, like bhukti. He uses this analogy of a company. So a company, for a company to be successful, it has to be profitable, and then all the workers, they also benefit from the prosperity of the company, or at least theoretically. But a good company, they share with their employees, isn't it? So then bhukti, or the path of exploitation, means that when the boss is away, we rob the company. Go into the stock cupboard and just clear it out, take everything home with us for ourselves. And what will be the result of that? The company will fail, will go down, because it hasn't got any stock, because the employees stole it all. Now this is like bhukti. And mukti means when all of the employees decide to go on strike. Down tools. No, we're not going to work. This is also, we want not to go into reasons why somebody might need to strike in their company. I'm not saying that there's never any reason for that. But from the point of view of the company, that means that the company will fail also. If nobody's working for them, they're not producing anything. So both are unnatural, and Guru Maharaj says we don't live in a vacuum, we live in as part of an organic whole. So life is an organic whole. Then we are not to try to exploit this world, we are not to renounce this world, but we are to try to become a dedicating unit within this world, and dedicated to the central principle, the service of Lord Krishna. As it's told in Srimad Bhagavatam, just like when you give food to the stomach, then the whole body becomes nourished. You can't get it from some other way. Just by keeping food in your hand, by some process of osmosis, you won't get the nourishment from that food. Maybe a little bit, but not enough. And similarly, by watering the root of the tree, the whole tree becomes nourished, rather than trying to water it leaf by leaf, branch by branch. That will never be successful. Give water to the root. So give your energy to the center. And if you dedicate yourself to the satisfaction of Lord Krishna, then Vishvapurna Sukhayate, the whole universe, the whole creation becomes satisfied when he is satisfied. So this is the path recommended to us, the path of bhakti or devotion. So Narad has come to Prahlad Maharaj, and we're told that Prahlad Maharaj, he epitomizes Shantarasa bhakti, but pure devotion. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the first example of Shuddha Bhakti, or pure devotion, not mixed with anything else, is Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj is Narad Muni's disciple. Still, for our benefit, Narad was approaching him to measure the standard of his devotion in a comparative study of the devotional world. Approaching Prahlad Maharaj, Narad said, "I have come to see you, Prahlad, because Lord Shiva also appreciates your position. You are a real devotee of Lord Krishna. You are so fortunate. I have come to see how you are." Prahlad told him, "Gurudev, you are all in all. Have you come to test me? Whatever fortune I may have, I have received by your grace. I was born in a family of demons, so the demonic qualities have not exclusively left me. Don't you know that in Naimisharanya I went to fight with Lord Vishnu? I repent for that, but what can I do? He has given me such a position. I cannot have the privilege of direct service to him, but only mentally I think of him. I think that he is everything, but I do not have the great fortune of rendering service to him. Hanuman is really a devotee. How fortunate he is. What grace he has received. He gave everything to Lord Ramchandra. I envy his situation. But what can I do? God's dispensation is absolute. We must accept that. Hanuman's position is really enviable. How attached to his master he is, and what a great magnitude of service he has done for Lord Ram. From there, Narad went to visit Hanuman. He approached Hanuman's residence, playing on his veena, the mantram, Rama, 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 Rama. When Hanuman suddenly heard the name of his master, Lord Ram, he jumped towards that direction, and even in the sky he embraced Narad Muni. Hanuman said, "Oh, who is helping me to hear the sound of Lord Ram's holy name? After such a long time, the sound of Ram Nam is enlivening me. I was dying without hearing the name of Ram." Ecstatic tears were running down the eyes of both of them. Then Narad went to Hanuman's quarters and began to praise his fortune, saying, "How fortunate you are, O Hanuman! You serve Lord Ramchandra so intimately. You do not know anything but your master, Lord Ram. You rendered such great service to him that your service has become the ideal for the whole of human society." But Hanuman told Narad, "Yes, by his grace I was able to do something. But it is all his grace. I am nothing. I am worthless. But I hear that now Lord Ramchandra has come as Lord Krishna. Although I don't like any incarnation other than Lord Ram, I have heard from a distance how Krishna, who is Ramchandra himself, is showering his favor to the Pandavas. The Pandavas are very fortunate because the Lord is dealing with them like an intimate friend. So I have great appreciation for the fortune of the Pandavas." In this way, Hanuman began to praise the Pandavas for their fortune. Leaving Hanuman, Narad Muni then went to the Pandavas. There he found Yudhisthira Maharaj seated on a throne and began to sing the glories of the Pandavas. He told Yudhisthira Maharaj, "How friendly you are in your relationship with Krishna. How fortunate you are." Yudhisthira Maharaj said, "What are you saying, Devashi? Of course Krishna favors us, we can't deny that. But what is our position? We have no position at all. On the other hand, I feel now and then that by seeing our example, the people in general won't want to serve Krishna because they will calculate that being such intimate friends of Lord Krishna, the Pandavas had to pass through difficult troubles and dangers their whole lives. They will think that to be a devotee of Krishna means that one must suffer troubles throughout his whole life. So I am afraid that by thinking of us, people will not venture to approach Krishna." It is true, the Pandavas suffered so much in their time. We know, isn't it, that their father, Pandu, passed away before their birth, or actually before their birth. And because of that, although Yudhisthira was the heir apparent of the throne, Dhritarashtra gave that position to his son Duryodhana, his eldest son Duryodhana. And the Pandavas suffered so much because Duryodhana always plotting against them. So they were, first of all, Bhimsen was poisoned with a cake. They gave a cake to him, poisoned him. Enough poison in that cake to kill an elephant. But Bhimsen, he's a Maharati, so that couldn't kill him. But actually, by providence, you can say, divine providence, when he ate that cake and became unconscious because of the poison, he fell into the river. And it just happened, we won't say coincidentally, because nothing in the Leela of the Lord is coincidence, but it just happened that where he fell into the river was filled. It was actually an underground entrance or a subterranean entrance to Nagaloka. That means the realm of the serpents, the snakes. And so when they saw Bhimsen fell into the river, the snakes attacked him, and they bit him. But the venom from their bite was the antidote to the poison in the cake. Go figure that one. So he came to consciousness under the water. And what did he do? He said the snakes are attacking him, so he started killing the snakes. And then and they can't deal with him. He's so powerful. So then they went through the subterranean passage to Vasuki. Vasuki is like the king of the serpents. And they told him, this person is, he's killing so many snakes, and our venom is like not powerful on him. And Vasuki can understand. Oh, this is Bhimsen. He is one of the Pandavas. Bring him to me. So finally they brought Bhimsen before Vasuki, and Vasuki gave him a potion. And by drinking that potion, he was already a Maharati. A Maharati means as powerful as 1,000 elephants. But by drinking this potion, he became even more powerful. That he has his own, what would you say? His own category. Many are Maharati warriors at that time, but he is Bhimarati. That's only him. And that means not the strength of 1,000 elephants, the strength of 10,000 elephants. That is most powerful. He's already powerful, but this way. Anyway, that was first thing. Then they made that lac palace made of shalak, and while they slept, they were sent there. Supposedly the Pandavas sent there for a holiday, and while they were there, Duryodhana had it burnt to the ground to try to kill them. And so many things we know. The dice game with Shakuni, and that humiliation of Draupadi. So many things. So many trials and tribulations that finally they had to go to war against their own cousin brothers, and the family, and their gurus, and their grandfather, and everything. Yeah, so many. So Yudhisthira here, he's saying, so don't quote us as being the example of Krishna Bhakti, because when people read about all the things that we had to go through, they're going to steer far clear of devotion to Krishna if they think that's the result of devotion to Krishna. So this is Yudhisthira's observation. Of course, Kunti Devi, her observation is the opposite of that. Kunti Devi prays to Krishna that when everything is fine, we don't think about you much, maybe only in passing, And like we might say, oh, thank God for such a beautiful day. We may say like that, but it's just in passing, isn't it? No real earnestness there. But Kunti Devi says, but when we are in trouble, dire distress, then we have to come to you for our relief. You are our only shelter. Then we remember you, and we remember you intensely. Like they used to say, right, during the First World War, they used to say, there are no atheists in the trenches. There's a trench warfare, right? The soldiers on both sides, they're living in these trenches, which are like bogs, like no man's land. And they're all getting disease, and then at some point their commanding officer will tell them to go over the top, and then they have to run into no man's land, and they're all getting blown to pieces, and to try and make a few hundred yards progress in the lines of battle. So it was a horrible situation, hellish situation. So they used to say during that time, there are no atheists in the trenches, because all of the soldiers, they're all intensely praying, Lord, please get me out of this. And back home, their wives and their mothers, they're all saying, please bring my husband home safely. Please, Lord, bring my son home safely, like this, you see. So when there's dire necessity, when there's dire suffering, it's natural that people turn to God. So Kunti Devi is saying, this is our circumstance. Then when everything is good and we're happy, we forget your lotus feet. So then bring on the trouble. Bring more trouble so that I can remember your lotus feet more and more. This is her prayer. But Yudhisthira Maharaj making this remark, because not everyone is Kunti Devi. Everyone is more likely, what if I worship Krishna, what good will I get from that? I don't want distress. I didn't sign up for that. So then Devashi Narad says, no, I don't see it from that angle of vision. What is danger or affliction to the Pandavas? What is the meaning of that? That is the message that Krishna is coming. When the Pandavas are in danger, that is nothing but the message that Krishna is coming to save you. Oh, so your mother has also prayed, Vipada Shantu Taha Saraswat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Jatsyad Apuna Bhava Darshanam. Let dangers come, may they visit me always. I don't care for that, because that brings Krishna much clearer to us, much closer to us. We rather like the dangers that bring Krishna into our intimate connection. That famous statement of your mother, Kunti Devi, stands there. The Pandavas, headed by Maharaj Yudhisthira, said, yes, Krishna visits us now and then in the time of our dire need. But how fortunate are the Jadus. Lord Krishna is always with them. They are so proud of their master, Lord Krishna, that they don't care for any other power in the world. They are so fortunate that Lord Krishna is always closely connected with them. So Narad went to the Jadus and began chanting in praise of them. They said, what do you say, Devarshi Narad? Krishna is with us, of course, and in any time of great danger he comes to help us. But how much do we actually care for him? We are living independently, careless about his existence. But among us, Uddhav is really his favorite. Whatever Krishna does, he always consults with Uddhav. And in all his confidential matters, Uddhava is present there. And in every case, he is always very thick with Uddhava. Even we envy the fortune of Uddhava. Then Narad went to Uddhava and told him, Uddhav, you are the most fortunate devotee of Krishna. Krishna even says, Na tatama me priyatama, atma yonir na shankara, na cha shankarshano na shrir, naivatma cha jatabhavan. O Uddhav, what to speak of other devotees like Brahma, Shiva, Sankarshan or Lakshmi? You are more dear to me than my own life. You are such an intimate associate that Krishna values you more than his own life. Uddhava said, yes, of course, out of his causeless benevolence, he might have said something like that. But I don't think that I'm his real devotee, especially after visiting Vrindavan. All my pride has been melted by seeing those devotees. The spirit of service and the intensity of love towards Krishna that I found in the devotees in Vrindavan is unparalleled, O Devarshi. I am nowhere. So this is true. Krishna, his bosom friend is Uddhava, who's actually his cousin. And they're so alike. It's said that Uddhav looks like Krishna, his dark complexion and beautiful like Krishna. But Krishna always promising the residents of Vrindavan, one day I will return. When my business here is finished, I will return. But in the meantime, he sent Uddhav to try and give some solace to the devotees of Vrindavan. Some solace. Actually, it means he wants Uddhav to understand who are the residents of Vrindavan. He sent a message to the cowherd girls. He told them, oh, you are suffering separation, but if you practice yoga, you might get some relief. some type of, yoga meditation, and he's telling Uddhava like this, and the cowherd girls, they chastised Uddhava. Why Krishna is telling, do yoga? We don't care about that. We want him. We don't care about yoga. Then this is more like he's insulting us by saying such a thing. This Krishna, why he's telling this kind of thing to us. Then anyhow, so Uddhava went there and made his proposal. While this is going on, we know that that Srimati Radharani, she has that conversation with the bumblebee. She's like her madness, right? She's addressing Krishna as a bumblebee and chastising Krishna in that conversation. It's called Brahma Gita. It's Radharani's song, her talk with the bumblebee, and that is a very high, intimate thing. You can read it safely in Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book. But anyway, Uddhav was sent to try and give some relief to them, but more so that he would understand what are the glories of the residents of Vrindavan. So he's telling Narad, do you know that statement of mine? It is recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam. Asam maho charana renu jusam maham syam. Brindavane kim api gulma latosh sadhinham. Ja duscha jam sa janam arja patam chahitva. Bejor mukunda padavim shrutibir vrimrigyam. This is from 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Guru Maharaj liked this verse very much, always many times quoting this verse. And the meaning is, the gopis of Vrindavan gave up their husbands, children and families who are difficult to renounce, and sacrificed even their religious principles to take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, which are sought after even by the Vedas themselves. Oh, grant me the fortune to take birth as a blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that I may take the dust of the lotus feet of those great souls upon my head. This is Uddhava's prayer. Uddhava's prayer to Krishna. Uddhava, who we just heard Krishna said, Uddhava, you're more dear to me than Brahma, Shiva, than Sankarshan, means Balaram. You're more dear to me than Balaram, and more dear to me than Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, and even more dear than my own self, he said to Uddhava. And Uddhava is saying, let me be born as a blade of grass in Vrindavan. It is not, he's not praying, let me be born as a cowherd girl or no, I just want to be a blade of grass, so that just by chance one day, one of them might tread on me, or some dust from their feet might come on me. Then that will be my perfection in life. This is Uddhav, Krishna's dearest beloved friend, saying this. Then who are the residents of Vrindavan, especially the cowherd girl? Guru Maharaj told us, when he was younger, he met this man who was a Shrutidar. Shrutidar means, it means a Brahmin with eidentic memory. Now it's considered like a savant, someone who has eidentic memory. They hear something once, they can remember it entirely. So Shrutidar means that he knows all the Vedas by heart. So one man who was Shrutidar, he met Srila Guru Maharaj, and he knows every single verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. He knows them all. And then so Guru Maharaj asked him, then in your opinion, who is the highest devotee of Krishna given in Srimad Bhagavatam? And he said, the Chatushan, the 4 Kumaras, they are the highest devotees of Krishna. And Guru Maharaj, and then he said, what about you? What do you say? And Guru Maharaj said, I think that the Chatushan, the 4 Kumaras, they're just on the primary stage of devotion. And really, the Braja Gopis, they are the highest devotees of Krishna. And this explanation he gave as to why that was so. So, even being Shrutidar doesn't give you necessarily entrance into the highest truth. Srila Govinda Maharaj said, what's the use of carrying a Ganges of scriptural knowledge in your brain if you do not understand what is the conclusion of that scripture. It'll just weigh you down like a weight. So, then Uddhav says, there I have disclosed my heart fully. The quality of love for Krishna that I found in the damsels of Vrindavan is so exalted that I could not but aspire to be born in Vrindavan as a piece of grass, so that the foot dust of those divine damsels might touch my head. So what are you saying, Devarshi? If you would like to see real devotion, real divine love, you should go to Vrindavan. Don't put us in an awkward position saying that we possess devotion to Krishna. That's rather a mockery, a foundationless utterance. I found real devotees of the Lord in Vrindavan. In this way, Sanatana Goswami tries his best to take us through the path by showing us the gradual development of devotion to Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj has been accepted as the basis of Shuddha Bhakti, the beginning of pure devotional service, because he is situated in Shantarasa, or devotional service in neutrality. Above that there is Dasyarasa, love of God in servitude, as shown by Hanuman. And above that there is Sakyarasa, or the mood of friendship, that is exemplified by the Pandavas. Uddhava is somewhat Sakya, connected with Vatsalya, parental love, and Madhurja, conjugal love. In this way we can trace the progressive development of devotion. Our close adherence to Krishna develops in this way to Vrindavan. The acme of devotional service is found there. In the conversation between Ramananda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we find it mentioned that Radharani's devotional service is categorically higher than that of all the other gopis. Tebhyas taha pashupala pankaja drishyas tabyopi saradhika. The kind of serving spirit we find there is unaccountable and inconceivable. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with that quality of adherence to the truth, unconditional surrender. He came seeking that fortune of serving the truth. If we can seek such a higher type of existence, we may consider ourselves most fortunate. Self-surrender is the very basis of our highest fortune. We cannot but surrender ourselves to whatever beautiful and valuable thing we have come across. Our appreciation for any higher thing is shown by the degree of our surrender to that. So we can measure the quality of the truth we are connected with only by the intensity of our surrender. So, I'm just going to read the next chapter, which is very short.
Sorry, can you ask a quick
Yeah,
question?
please, yeah.
Sri Sriman said that pure devotion can only come through the mercy of a pure Vaishnava. So my question is, also we're told there are different levels of guru, and everything we have comes through the mercy of our guru. So what happens if our guru is not of the highest standard?
It's a matter of what's called dhara. Dhara means current. So, just like if you plug your phone into the wall there to charge it, but that socket isn't connected with the dhara, or the electric current coming through the house. Doesn't matter how long you leave your phone there; it's not going to charge, is it? So, but if it's connected with the current that's coming from the electric exchange or the power station, then it'll start charging. Immediately you plug it in, you'll see the bars start coming, it'll start charging. So the same way, it's about connection. So guru means the transparent via medium to Krishna. And yes, there are different levels of guru, that's true, that's a given. So then, but depending on their connection with the source, then it's really not so important as what level of level of guru you're connected with, as long as your guru is connected with the power station. It's plugged into the mains, if you like. That's the important thing. The important thing is that. So guru means the via medium, or you can say like the cable that's connecting us with that power. So it's true, Guru Maharaj said three different types of guru. Said that the highest guru, the Uttama Adhikari guru, he's situated in the spiritual world and extends himself to us here to take us there. That's Uttam Guru. Madhyam Guru, the middle class guru, he 1 foot in this world, 1 foot in that world, but he's taking us there to that spiritual world. And Kanishta Guru, both feet firmly here in the material world, but his eye to Vaikuntha. And he's saying, let us all go there to Vaikuntha, and helping us to go there. They're different levels, no doubt, but they are all qualified if they are transparent in their representation of their guru. They're all qualified to perform that function. Guru is a function of the Absolute. And Srila Guru Maharaj says, if you just identify it with the person, with a picture, then you'll be misled. Because Guru also means the inspired side of a Vaishnava. So that inspiration that flows through them, that Dara, that current that flows through them to us, that's what connects us. And we shouldn't mistaken necessarily one for the other. Although everything about we are indebted to our Guru, and everything about him is worshipable by us. His shoe, his chair, his cloth, everything, his body, everything, we are worshipping that. But we shouldn't mistake those things for being the actual substance of the thing. Then otherwise we will only see externally. So then if our Guru, once our Guru has left this world, if he again comes in another form, in the form of another Vaishnava, how will we recognize him? Right? What are we looking for? This is like, the Christians, they say we're waiting for the second coming of Christ, right? But how will they recognize him if he comes? Then he won't be allowed in the church, will he? He's a hippie with a beard and long hair and doesn't wear any shoes. You can't come in our church. You have to wear a suit and a tie and everything if you come in our church. So they may, if they're looking for that person, or if they're looking for Robert Powell, who portrayed Jesus in the film Jesus of Nazareth, they may be disappointed. That was my father-in-law. He's very, very proper, upper-class English person, Then he told me once about my daughter, my oldest daughter. I'm not very happy that Nadia Rani has a guru. I said, oh, really? You're not happy? He said, we are talking about a colored chap here, aren't we? He said. And I said, well, he's Indian. Yeah, he is Indian, yeah. And he said, oh, I'm not happy about that. And I said, do you think that Jesus is blonde, blue-eyed Englishman? Because that's how they portray him, right, nowadays in the church. That's who they show him as. Is that what you think Jesus is? But don't you realize that he's a Palestinian? He's a Jewish Palestinian. He's probably dark-skinned. And you had to say, oh, that's a jolly good point, David. He said, a jolly good point. Never thought of that. So, we shouldn't be prejudiced by our outward conception of what is Guru. If we think Guru has to be an elderly Indian man who shakes his head and, from side to side, then we may be mistaken. Krishna, Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, who knows the science of Krishna? even if they're a Shudra, whether they're a Shudra, whether they're a Brahmin, whether they're a Mlecha, whether they don't have to be an Indian. They can be anyone. Whoever knows the science of Krishna, he is Guru, or she is Guru. That is also not, it doesn't have to be a man even. Who knows Krishna, they are Guru. And so we have to try and see the current of our Guru's teaching. Where we will find that, there we will bow our head. Where we find that same current. And it may not come in a formal way, from this one to that one. It may not. In our Sampradaya is Shiksha Guru Sampradaya, not Diksha Guru Sampradaya. In the list of our Gurus, in our Guru Parampara, sometimes there's hundreds of years gap between one and the next. And Guru Maharaj gives the example of, in science, the thought of the scientists. He said, so maybe we can say, then there was Isaac Newton. Then after Isaac Newton came Albert Einstein. The current was picked up. But what's the timeline between Einstein and Newton? They didn't meet each other. They weren't contemporaries. And there may have been many other minor scientists in between that carried that to a lesser or greater degree. But where substantially Newton's ideas were picked up and then enhanced, we see that in Einstein. So similarly, it's like that. So where the line of truth comes, it doesn't have to be by some bodily succession or by some formal acceptance. It's wherever we see that same truth, wherever we see that. That inner voice that guided us to our spiritual master, our guide, which told us intuitively, yes, this is true. Then when we see that in another, we have to be open to that. I can say in my own case, right, just as an example, in my own case, when I was a 14-year-old boy, actually my English teacher, she gave me a book by Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Sri Ishopanishad. She gave me this book. And I began reading that book. She gave me other books too, but she knew I'm interested in spiritual things, so she gave me that book. And although I read the other books that she gave me, when I read this book, everything, on every page, something was chiming inside me. Yes, it's true. Yes, it's right. Yeah. And I'm sure every devotee has had that experience, reading Prabhupada's books. Felt this within me. And finally, I joined in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness when I was 17 years old. And much to my dismay, Srila Prabhupada already left the world. He was my guru. That was my ambition, was to be his disciple. When I was younger, I wanted to be the disciple of the Dalai Lama. But that's another story. But after reading Prabhupada's book, Ishopanishad, and then subsequently other books by him, I decided he's my guru. And this is the truth, spiritual truth. And I want to be his disciple. So I joined his mission, but nobody told me when I joined. He's already left the world. I'm waiting. When's he coming? And when I asked one of the devotees, he passed away earlier this year. So just a few months before I joined. Anyway, so there I was. I'm heartbroken, right? So I served there in ISKCON for maybe 5 years or so. And then I came, by miraculous fortune, I came to the lotus feet of Srila Sridhar Maharaj in his mott in Navadvip. And I heard from him. I heard his teaching. And very quickly I could understand this is the same current of truth that I found in the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. I find them here also. And in fact, it was in a very vivid way that I thought, all those things I read about in his books, They're not just tales of ancient India. They're alive here and now in this temple and coming through this spiritual master. And I knew, maybe not immediately, but I knew intuitively, here is my spiritual master. Here is the same current of Srila Prabhupada coming through him. I knew that. Others may disagree, but for me, that was the truth. So this way we have to be open where the truth is flowing.
Guru is like a murti as well.
Yes.
If you have enough faith, then Krishna is there. If you haven't, you just, some people just kind of dress and decorate, like a doll. But Krishna is not like that.
No.
No, you have to have faith.
That's right.
So similar way, if you have faith in Guru.
That's right. But faith in Guru means the faith in his Vani, the Vani,
Yeah.
what he is teaching us. So the Guru has two forms, that's Vani and Vapu. So while Guru is present with us, we serve his Vapu. That means his body. You know, if you're fortunate, you may be able to massage the feet of your Gurudev. Or I've seen a photograph of Mr. Vyas upstairs massaging the leg of Srila Govinda Maharaj. Then this is service to Vapu, and that is not any less. It's service to Sri Guru. But why are we serving that person? Because coming through him is the divine teaching of Krishna consciousness. That same teaching that Krishna spoke in Bhagavad Gita, that same teaching that comes through Sriman Bhagavatam, the same teaching that Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev came to give, that's flowing through this person. But it doesn't mean that if we become a follower of that person, that we hate everybody else. That's not so. Krishna's unlimited. He can manifest to different people through different devotees. We don't claim any exclusive monopoly on the truth. The truth is universal, and the truth can manifest in many ways, not just our way. So, you know, and Guru Maharaj was always about that universal truth, not about the formality or the function or so on. But at the same time, we shouldn't think that just the Vapu of the devotee is our spiritual master. No, rather his teaching is everything to us. So otherwise, when he disappears from the world, we're lost. Oh, he's gone. But the devotee lives on in his teaching, and the disciple who's able to connect with that teaching lives eternally with his spiritual master.
Then do we have to follow the parampara or not? If we are just following his Vani.
Vani is coming through parampara. Is what our Gurudev is teaching is not different to what Narad is teaching, to what Vyasadeva is teaching, to what all of the gurus in our parampara are teaching, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught. It's always coming. It's coming in an unbroken line, but not bodily line, but coming through conception.
Prabhupada, there is no other guru there, Jagat Guru. I mean.
No, there doesn't have to be Jagat Guru. That's not necessary. If we are fortunate and Jagat Guru comes in our life, then how wonderful is that? But it doesn't mean that the line is broken if that person isn't the Jagat Guru, if that person isn't, you know, a Mahabhagavat devotee.
The Guru says, I'm always with you.
Yeah, then what kind of fortune we get connecting with the Vaishnava. The Vaishnava, they derive their legitimacy in their representation of their Gurudev. Whatever their own position may be, that's not considered even. Their own position is a servitor of their Gurudev. And as much as they're able to represent that with fidelity, that much they derive their spiritual authority.
So according to experience, you have a faith.
Yes, of course. And not everyone's faith is going to be the same. You see, I may see Krishna through this devotee, and you may see Krishna through that devotee. It doesn't mean that we have to fight now. Oh no, my guru's the real guru and your guru's an imposter. No. Krishna can show himself in whichever way that he likes. And whoever gets inspiration for the service of Krishna through any Vaishnava, we should celebrate that. We should make a festival for that. We should be happy for that. Not just because it's not going in the same way that I see, therefore we have to fight. That's very neophyte thing, That's like children in the playground. My father's better than your father, You remember that when you were a kid? You said, my father could, in a fight, would be able to beat up your father. And even sometimes the kids get in a fight and try and bring their fathers to come and fight with each other. That was my experience as a school kid, I'm bringing my dad and he's bringing his dad and we're going to see who's... Come on, we're not school children. Now this is like kid is in the sandpit saying, my guru's Jagat Guru, not your guru. He's not, this is childish and foolish. Wherever we find inspiration to serve Lord Krishna, that is Gurudev. That Guru means the function of Krishna that inspires us for the service of Krishna. Krishna says to Uddhava, actually, Acharya mam vijanayat navamanyeta karhichit. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Acharya mam vijanayat. I am the Acharya. That devotee that's representing me, that's me. That's me. So we don't say, oh, my Gurudev's Krishna. It's not that. But what's coming through him is Krishna. What's coming through Gurudev is Krishna. And therefore that makes that person worshipable to us. And he says, Krishna says to Uddhava, never consider them to be a mundane person. Because everything that's godly is embodied in them. How can it not be if the Vani or the Dara of Krishna is flowing through that person? How can they not be worshipable to us? But we must also be broad enough to see that not everyone is going to see that. And that doesn't necessarily make them sinners or offenders because they don't have that same vision. It's just different. How Krishna manifests himself to one doesn't mean that it has to be only that way. We don't say that, We're not like the Christians. We don't say, the only way is Jesus. Nobody comes to the Father but through him. This is what they say, right? And they say that he said that. But even if he said that, that's just principle. Is that nobody can come, as we read earlier on, nobody can come to the devotional service of Krishna unless it's through the devotee of Krishna. Because that's the way it works. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tad vidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. That whole statement of Krishna saying, try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Why is he telling Arjuna that? He's directly Arjuna's spiritual master. So what isn't that redundant for him to tell him? No, because he's explaining the principle. The principle is, if you want to know spiritual truth, you have to approach a spiritual master that's situated, established in that truth. That's the only way. And what are the qualifications for approaching the spiritual master? Pranipat pariprashna sevaya. So pranipat means exclusive regard. Exclusive regard doesn't mean only you and everyone else is bogus. It doesn't mean that. It just means this creed of Krishna consciousness, I accept that as the sum and bonum of my life. The only thing that I aspire for in my life. I don't want anything else. I only want Krishna consciousness. You represent that creed. So I have come to your lotus feet as an exclusive servitor. It's not that I want to be your disciple this week and next week I'm going to be off studying Zen Buddhism. or next week I'm going off to the church, or whatever it may be. No, this is the line, and you are the representative of that. So exclusively I've come to offer myself here. Then pariprashna, pranipat, pariprashna. Pariprashna means proper inquiry. So proper inquiry means not just just to satisfy our curiosity. Oh, what does that mean? And what does this mean? And where'd you get your money from? And all these things that people ask, right? Not that, or not challenging. Well, if God exists, why does he make it suffering? And of course these may be legitimate questions, but real, when you've decided that this is the creed that I wish to follow, then our questioning of the guru should be in the line of, I am in darkness, how do I go to the light? I am in ignorance, how do I go to enlightenment? And I am suffering, how do I come to the plane of ecstasy, ananda? That should be the line of our inquiry. And submissive inquiry, not challenging inquiry. That should be done away with before you come to the feet of Guru. It's okay if you're not convinced and you can challenge, that's fine. But once you've come to the feet of Gurudev to be a disciple, that no challenge should be there anymore. I accept it. I accept this is the truth. And then sevaya. And sevaya means to serve. And service is the key, actually. It's not just, something you have to do, like, you have to pay for your tuition by, doing a bit of sweeping up or something. No, it's not that. Sevaya means that we have to develop the ego of a servitor. It's not just that's the condition of our transaction. No, that in the spiritual world there is only one master, and that is Krishna. And all others necessarily are servants of him. Whatever their position may be, they serve Krishna. And if we want to go to the spiritual world, we have to become servitors. You can't go there if you've got some other agenda going on. It's not possible. Only those who are 100% sold to the service of Krishna and the satisfaction of their Lord are given entrance into the spiritual world. So it's not like just for the time being we do some service until we get promotion, then we can sit back with our feet up. No, it's not like that at all. The more surrendered a devotee becomes, the more service capacity he develops, and the more intimate that service becomes, the more connected with reality that service becomes. So where we want to go to, what we're aspiring for, the spiritual reality, is the plane of service. There are no beings there, let's say, in whatever form they manifest themselves, in that plane. Not one of them has any interest except the satisfaction of the Lord. Only that. And until you also have no other ambition except for his service, you can't go there. It's just not possible. Because you're going to make a mess of things, aren't you? If you're allowed in there, let's say there was some mistake and you got allowed in there, you're going to make a right mess of it, aren't you? There, everyone's like, oh, we're going to serve Krishna, they're off down the... And you go, no, I don't want that. I want, Krishna's got all these girlfriends. I'd like one of them myself. Oh, all the best food's going to Krishna. Why can't I have some of that? And then all the others are going to look at you like you're a monster. What? So, okay, maybe that's our position now. We're thinking a bit for Krishna, a bit for us. That's just the way it is, right? That's just the truth of the matter. This much for Krishna, this much for me.
I used to get so close to Gurudev, and I used to say, sorry Gurudev, for done any offense. He said, no, you never do offense, he said. Give me more energy.
But we cannot go there. We cannot go there if we have any other agenda than Krishna's service. In any way, shape or form. Nothing at all. It's called anartha. Artha means that which is useful to us in the service of Krishna. And anartha means that which is against that. Any element that is not Krishna, that's called anartha. So the main part of the sadhana of a devotee, that's called anartha nibriti, removal of those unwanted things. And if we are thinking, which is common amongst neophyte devotees, we are thinking that my devotional service is perfect, then that means we are very far away from that. Because we see that the highest devotees, they're always considering themselves to be the most fallen and the furthest away from that. So that's the healthy position. The healthy position is to consider ourselves to be humble and to be fallen. We are fallen. This material world proves it. We're here in this material world. Then Mahaprabhu himself says, what's the proof that I don't have any love for Krishna? That I'm still alive. That I live in this world without my Lord. Then that proves I don't really have any love for him. Otherwise I couldn't live a moment without him. And you see that, right? In some film or some novel about some great love affair. Unrequited love. I can't live without her. I can't live without him. We see that and we think, oh, it so pulls our hearts, don't we? We see that. And that's just in this mundane world. So just think, those who have real love for Krishna, they can't live in this world. They have to go that world. They have to go to that world. That's the qualification. Not just that you don't have any desire for anything in this world, but you have intense desire for connection with Krishna and his devotees. That's the real criteria. And up and until then, it's all sadhana. It's all practice. It's all theory. Up until you develop real love for Krishna. And when love comes, genuine love for Krishna, then nothing else matters. Sadhana, or principles, regulations, all these things. They're all useless in that. And they don't help us anymore. Only the heart guides us to that service of Krishna, the satisfaction of Krishna. And nothing else. It's a very high thing. It's not a cheap thing. It's not something that you get after practicing Krishna consciousness for a few days, a few weeks, a few years, a few lifetimes. It's something almost impossible. But there's nothing else to do.
Some of the thing, it comes automatically.
That's what it means. When you have love for Krishna,
Faith.
everything comes automatically. But we are aspiring for love of Krishna. Yes, Darkesh Prabhu.
Is that verse Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma?
Nasokshati Nakanshati.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if my understanding is right, but is it that we have to become desireless before we can progress to the bhakti stage?
No, I mean that's one approach. But you might be waiting a long time for that to happen. No, the real thing is that we have to develop our hankering for Krishna's service. And then all of the other desires, they'll just disappear. Guru Maharaj says they're just like mental mushrooms, those things. The mushroom it grows on the surface, it doesn't have any roots. And so all these desires that we think make up who we are, they're not actually real. And just like where mushrooms are growing, you can throw a bucket of water and wash them all away. When Krishna enters into the heart, all of those mental mushrooms disappear. And we realize them to be imposters. They're not what make us who we are. They're not. They're not connected with us at all. They're just coverings over our soul. When we are free of that, then Krishna will take control. But not by trying to rid ourselves of all desire, because that never happens. But rather trying to cultivate our desire for real connection with Krishna. I mean, authentic connection with Krishna, not just fashionable connection or, some superficial connection, but real, genuine, authentic connection with Krishna, and that means through his devotee. When one gets the favor of Krishna's devotee, then Krishna will smile upon us and may give us some impetus to practice Krishna consciousness. But the spiritual world is only meant for perfect beings, not the imperfect, and we are imperfect. So what were we to do, you know? Maybe it sounds like too much hard work, you know, like we're never going to get that. But what we mustn't forget is that we're not dealing with an impersonal absolute. We're dealing with a person. Krishna is the most loving person, the most sympathetic person, the most generous person, the most gracious person, the most giving person. And he only has your and my and everyone's highest welfare at heart. So you only have to show some inclination towards his service, and he'll make the arrangements for you. He'll drag you out. You know, Guru Maharaj says, our solace is that Krishna is a thief. You know, that's his name, right? Makhan Chor. He's the butter thief. But that's just his nature, right? He steals everything. He prefers things that are stolen than things that are bought legitimately. That's just his nature. He's a little rascal, Krishna. He's a thief. And then, so Guru Maharaj says, we may think that we've built up very high walls to keep him out. But the nature of a thief is he doesn't need an invitation. For his own purpose, he'll find a way in. No matter how well you've, you know, made the security around your heart to stop him getting in, he's coming. He can get through it.
Realization, you know, it comes automatically. You don't have to try or don't do anything.
Some trying
It just
must be
comes
there.
itself, yeah.
But you know, like when they make a new car, right? Like a Mercedes-Benz car or something like that, they employ thieves. The people that steal cars for a living, they employ them to test their security. Can you get into this car? That's what they do, right? They actually do that. And if that guy who can get into any car can't get into their car, then that's good. That security is good. So we have made this little fortress around our heart where we don't really want Krishna to come in there to upset our plans and all the things that we've, you know, developed. He can be there on the outside. Hello, Krishna, we like you, but you're not coming right in there, you know. Got the alarms on, I've got the gates closed and locked and everything. But that he's better than any of those testers that test those locks on the new Mercedes-Benz. He can get through anything. And he's coming. And once he comes, he takes possession of everything. Nothing else can stay there. Like when the sun rises, all the darkness has to disappear. It can't remain. So in the same way, when Krishna enters the heart, anything that's non-Krishna can't remain there. He takes full possession. Guru Maharaj said, Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. That was, Julius Caesar said that. I came, I saw, I conquered. So it's like that with Krishna. He comes, he sees, he conquers. Yes, sir.
So, is it that when we become the surrendered servant of an Uttama Adhikari, that some substantial happens, or
when Krishna wills it, it'll happen.
okay.
There's no like a formula actually.
All right.
You can't say that if I do A, B, and C, then Krishna's obliged to do X, Y, and Z in return. It doesn't work like that because all rights reserved by him. When Krishna wants to favor his devotee, Krishna will give himself to that devotee. And what your position is externally may not be relevant to him. He may choose. And that's his nature, right? You may see that someone new in the mission, they get so much grace from Krishna and so much, they advance so quickly. And I've been plodding along for 50 years and I've got nothing. and he's like shot ahead, or she's shot ahead, you know. And why is that? What, you know, I tried hard. Why is Krishna favoring that person and not favoring me? It's actually not up to us. It's not like, well, I've been doing it for 40 years. He's only came 2 years ago, and now he's like some great devotee. That's, who knows where he came from in his past life and in his past, you know, in his journey to Krishna. We don't know that. We don't know. So so Guru Maharaj says, mind your own business. We're not looking at what's happening with others. We have to look at our own self and try our best to satisfy our Lord. Just trying. Guru Maharaj says, virtue is its own reward. So just the fact that you're trying, that has to be enough for you. Just that I'm trying. Krishna knows everything. Krishna knows all your weaknesses, all your desires, all the things that you thought you've hidden very carefully from everybody else. He knows that. And more, he knows that. But he didn't put you in the world just to suffer. That wasn't why you were created. You were created for a life of love and ecstasy eternally with him. Then that must happen. That must happen. Today or tomorrow, that must happen. And if you're already trying for that, he'll help you. He'll come and give that. Whatever you need, he'll give that to you. And in which way he'll give it, no one can understand. But he understands. Why anything happens, only he knows. Whatever it may be, only he knows the purpose of that. And we just have to be open to it. That's all that's required from us, is that we allow the Lord to move us how he desires. And bit by bit, he'll bring us to him. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be Hanuman to be able to come to Ram. You don't. You know, just even the squirrel's contribution to the bridge to Lanka, Ramchandra appreciated that, didn't he? And chastised Hanuman. It may just be a bit of dust to you, but it's his full capacity. You're bringing mountains. Okay, great. That's your capacity. But his capacity, he's doing what he can do. That's, when they asked Jesus, you know, like, who gave the most to build this temple? Said, that lady, she gave the most. But she's a beggar. She hasn't got anything. That's exactly right. Others gave, you know, thousands and millions to the building of that temple. She just gave a few pennies. But why you say she gave the most? Because that's all she had. She gave everything that she had. With her full heart. Not holding anything back. Then it doesn't matter if you're a spider, if you're a squirrel, or if you're Hanuman. You have to give your full capacity as much as you're able. As much as you're able. And that means, you know, what's stopping us from giving everything is that we're in Maya. And Krishna says, Daiviyesha guna Maya mama Maya dharachaya. This Maya is part of my divine energy. No one can cross over that. So let's not, we're not,
His mercy.
yeah, exactly. We're not standing in the street saying, come on Maya, I challenge you. You'll be finished in a moment. No, rather we're saying to the Lord, I'm completely helpless in the hands of Maya. But I desire your mercy. And you're the master of Maya. Then you please make me what you want me to be. He will. He will. He's not impersonal. He's your best friend. Krishna says in Gita, you know, I am the cause of everything. And everything is mine. I am the master of everything, the enjoyer of everything. But I am your friend. And that you mustn't forget. That he is friend. And what kind of friend? Dina Bandhu. He's the friend of the fallen. Isn't he? That's in Prapana Jivanamritam, that devotee expresses that. When I hear that you're Bhakta Vatsala, I become despondent. That you're the friend of your devotees, Bhakta Vatsala. I'm not a devotee. Then I become disappointed. I become depressed thinking about that. But when I hear that you're Dina Bandhu, that you're the friend of the fallen, then I get some relief. Because I'm the fallen, then you're my friend. Then I have some hope. What kind of friend is Krishna? You want that kind of friend. If you haven't got any other friend in the world, but you have Krishna as your friend, then really you've got a friend. The best friend. And Krishna doesn't leave his friends. He doesn't neglect his friends. And if you believe that, Krishna is my friend, Krishna will come to my aid. Krishna will help me to come to him. Then nothing to worry about. Then everything will be perfect. And everything is perfect from his side. It's only from our side that we're seeing so much imperfection. But from his side, everything's perfect. And when he will call you to his service, you won't be able to resist. Because he's Bhagavan, and Bhagavan means Bhajaniya Guna Vishishta. That his very nature is that whoever comes in connection with him, they must offer themselves to him. There's no other possibility. When you come in connection with him, there's no other possibility except that you must offer yourself to him. If that's real connection. So when he gives you that, when he shows himself to you, just a glimpse, you will be irresistibly drawn. You won't be able to go anywhere else. You won't be able to. Irresistibly, you'll be called to him. You must go to him. Because you're part of him. He made you. You're not independent of him. He's given you some free will. Yeah, you can try out some other things and see if you get some satisfaction from there if you want to. But don't forget, ultimately, you belong to me. When that realization comes to you in a real way, then you have no alternative. You must give yourself to him.
Why did Arjuna took so much time to realize Krishna is Krishna?
That's Leela.
Leela.
That's Leela. Because if Arjuna's relationship with Krishna had been different, then it would not have been possible for Bhagavad Gita to have been spoken. Arjuna had to see Krishna in one way, pre-Gita. And then after hearing Gita, now he sees Krishna in a different way. After seeing Krishna's Vishvarup, he says, "Oh Lord, I treated you like my friend. We sat on the bed together, we ate together, we joked and laughed, and Then he said, "Please forgive me for that. Forgive me. I didn't realize who you were, and now I know." But Krishna, that in a way, Krishna's a bit disappointed now. I want you to be my old Arjuna. I don't want you to be all awe and reverence now. We're friends. You're my bosom friend. That's one of Arjuna's names, Krishna Bandhu. He was Krishna's friend. So that's all part of Leela. And that's also in Vrindavan. They don't know that Krishna's Narayan. They don't know that he's the God Almighty. But now and again they get a glimpse of that. Some little show of that. Mother Jashoda looking in Krishna's mouth, she sees the Vishvarup in his mouth, don't they? Sees everything. And then she starts thinking, who is this boy? I thought he was my son, and now I'm seeing the whole creation within that. I'm seeing the universe, I'm seeing him, I'm seeing myself, I'm seeing everything in there. Maybe he's something more than my son. Then Guru Maharaj said, then the cat meowed. And Krishna's as a baby. Krishna was afraid of the cat. Oh, the cat. And then Mother Jashoda thinks, I'm just being foolish. He's just my little boy. He's afraid of the cat. I have to look after him and give him some milk and take care of him. This is Yoga Maya. So by the influence of Yoga Maya, Arjuna thought Krishna was his chum. But ultimately, without that, Krishna couldn't have spoke Bhagavad Gita to him. If Arjuna was already in that situation of being fully enlightened as the servant of Krishna in devotion, that Bhagavad Gita would not have come out. And so many things, yeah. They're for our benefit. All these things happen. It's called Leela. So in Leela, everything happens by His will. And not everything is understandable from our perspective. But from His perspective, everything is perfect. Anyway, we should stop now because, again, we're going on much longer than I intended, so excuse me for that. Does that answer your question, Robert? Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Rupanuga Guru Bhargya Ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda Ki Jai. Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandali Ki Jai. Kol Kartel Ki Jai. Sri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Anita Gaura Premanande.